who are the top 10 non-quarterbacks in the SEC this year. The quarterbacks get all the shine, and it's for good reason. I'm not saying they don't deserve to be most of the conversation. They're the centerpiece of the offense, really the centerpiece of every football team, but the value of the other 21 positions, believe it or not, are still pretty important. So today I'm just going to go through who I believe to be the top 10 non-quarterbacks this year in the SEC. Obviously, this will be disagreed with in some way by everybody who sees and hears it, but let's go anyways. So number 10, I've got Dylan Stewart at South Carolina as the 10th best non-quarterback on the D-line. The reason I don't have him higher is because last year he was able to benefit from having Kyle Kennard rushing with him on the other side of that. He doesn't have that anymore. But I do believe, this guy is a freak athlete, so I do believe that regardless he's going to be able to produce. He was a true freshman All-American last year, played in all 13 games for the Gamecocks. I had 23 tackles, 10.5 of those were tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. The guy is just a total game wrecker, so not including him on this list would have been just a disservice to him, but it is worth noting that he's going to have to create more for himself, at least the way it is now this season, because Kyle Kennard was a huge boost to him where they couldn't really double him as effectively because you do that, you leave Kennard open. They really were able to complement each other very well, and we'll see once the games start getting played if there's somebody else like that for Carolina this year who complements Stewart the same way. But I still think he's going to be great. Number 10, non-quarterback in the conference. Number 9, the Ryan Williams hype train, I think, still goes along. This guy's one of the most electric playmakers in the country, and that's not going to change this year. Last year with Milroe at quarterback, he had 48 grabs for 865 yards and 8 touchdowns. I believe that Ty Simpson is set up to have a better year throwing the ball than Milroe did last year to give Williams even more of an opportunity to be an explosive, dynamic playmaker. He's a nightmare on the open field, incredibly quick feet. You can't really cover him in man. And the transfer Isaiah Horton coming in from Miami at receiver for Bama also. He's really their big jump ball guy. He's got a giant frame, and so having him on the field is going to draw some safety help. Now, obviously, there's oftentimes more than one safety on the field, but having a big jump ball guy that will kind of suck in the attention of a lot of the other DBs, it could lead to Williams getting a lot of one-on-one coverage that, in theory, defenses would not be giving to a guy as talented as he is. So I think that with the additions in the receiver room for Bama, as well as what I believe to be an upgrade at least to the arm of the quarterback with Ty Simpson over Jalen Milroe, I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities still to be in one-on-one situations and really produce again this year for the Tide. Number 8, I have Xavier Story Jr. He's a linebacker at Arkansas. He transferred in from Georgia 2 years ago. Last year with the Hogs, he started all 13 games, had 99 tackles, 9.5 TFLs, 2 sacks, a pick, a pass breakup, and 3 hurries. The guy really just produces, and he's going to be dominant as by far the best player on Arkansas's defense. I wouldn't say overall because Taylor Green's not awesome at quarterback, but he's by far the most talented player on that defense. He's a former 5-star, and just being at that linebacker spot, the guy sticks his nose into every play. He's violent. He's physical. He really doesn't quit no matter how many snaps he's played in a row. I think he's just going to be the ultimate producer on a team that doesn't really have any producers. And you might not even hear that much about him because he's going to be on Arkansas. But if you end up looking at the numbers at the end of the year and you see that this guy has reached 100 tackles, 5 sacks and double-digit tackles for loss, don't be too shocked because he's one of the most talented players at the linebacker spot in the league, and I'm really excited to see how he plays this year. Number 7, I got Colin Simmons at Texas on the defensive line. He's coming off of an All-American freshman season where he played in all 16 games for the Horns, had 48 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, a pick also, and 3 forced fumbles, and 3 passes broken up. Now, generally speaking, the biggest jump that college football players make is from their freshman to sophomore year. So if that stays true for Simmons, he might win the Heisman as a defensive lineman this fall. He's one of the most, he was a 5-star guy in last year's cycle, one of the most all-around talented players that we've seen as a true freshman in a while. And Texas's defense is deep enough where it's the same thing as Dylan Stewart last year. Why you can't focus on this guy on the defensive line because then somebody else will kill you. So not being able for teams to just double him all the time and make sure that he doesn't beat you, you can't do that because then somebody else will. So if he's able to get into one-on-one situations where he's rushing the quarterback or he's able to get in the backfield to get to the back, like there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Simmons to make even more plays. And I think he's going to remind everybody that freshman year was not a fluke for him. He's one of the best defenders in the country. Number 6 is a guy who there's been a lot of different takes about him on social media, but it's R. Mason Thomas at Oklahoma along the D line. Last year he was all SEC second team, played in all 13 for the Sooners, had 23 tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. So you look at it, when I said 23 tackles, I'm sure the first reaction was, you played in 13 games and that didn't seem like a very high number. But the 12.5 tackles for losses and the 9 sacks, positionally, that's one of the best outputs in the country, along with the 2 forced fumbles. So he's going to produce, maybe not necessarily in quantity, like you see some of these other D linemen, but that's not what he has to do at where he's playing. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing, wrecking games, bringing guys down in the backfield, getting to the quarterback, and poking the ball out. If he can stay healthy and really stay in a rhythm, which I believe is the story for the whole Oklahoma team this year after last year was the exact opposite. They couldn't stay healthy. They couldn't get any sort of rhythm. I really do believe that Oklahoma as a whole on both sides of the ball is going to be in a much better spot this year, and I think that defensively, R. Mason Thomas is going to be one of the driving forces of that for the Sooners. Number 5, I'm kind of calling my shot here. I've got Harold Perkins at LSU at linebacker. He in 2022 he was freshman All SEC. 2023 he was second team All SEC, and then last year he only played 4 games before injuring his knee. And when he went out, Whit Weeks at LSU kind of took over at his spot and produced so much that people kind of forgot that Perkins was gone. But now he's back again this year. He's one of the this guy could be a running back or a receiver. That's a kind of athletic profile he has. But he chose to play linebacker just to take people's heads off. He was one of the best pass rushers in the country when he was healthy those past 2 years. He's got such a good way of tackling. He's physical. He's not afraid of anybody with the ball. And I almost put Whit Weeks in, but I do believe that a lot of the reason he produced was because Perkins was out. So I have Perkins at number 5 because the last thing you can do is forget about players who are as talented as Harold Perkins, because then when they come back stronger than ever, it burns you way more. So I believe that Perkins is going to have an awesome year and remind a lot of people of just how good he is. Number 4, got our first O-lineman on the board here. Actually, we're going to have back-to-back O-lineman here. But number 4 is Jake Slaughter, who is the center at Florida. He was an AP All-American last year. He's a team captain with the Gators. Started all 13 for him. Last year, he was 5th in the country with an 81.1 offensive grade, according to PFF, and 7th in the country with a 79 run block grade. The guy he's the most physical O-lineman you'll see, maybe except for number 3 on this list that I'll get to in a second. But he really is such a commander of that O-line and that whole offensive unit for Florida. Having him back for DJ Lagway, I think, is incredibly important to kind of help keep Lagway calm with a veteran presence at center. He's going to be very valuable both to Lagway and to that running game. You have a tandem of Jaden Ball and Jacoby Jackson back there trying to run the ball, and you need a guy like Slaughter to really drive that game forward. Then number 3, I teased a little bit, but it's Caden Proctor at offensive tackle at Alabama. He was all SEC second team last year. Played 639 snaps last year, totaled 54 knockdowns. And it's going to be a little different for Proctor this year. I talked a little bit during the Williams part of this about Milroe versus Simpson at quarterback from a receiver's perspective. From an O-lineman perspective, Simpson can still move with his feet, but he's much more of a pocket passer than Milroe was. So it's going to be kind of different for Proctor in terms of where his quarterback's going to be as the play develops. What's he doing? What is he thinking? So I don't see that being a problem for Proctor. If anything, I see it being a benefit because you really can't get by Proctor, at least consistently. So if the quarterback's always in the pocket instead of rolling out and giving D linemen other angles to go at, I think you'll see Proctor have an even higher success rate pass blocking. Number 2, I've got Jermod McCoy from Tennessee in the secondary. At first I thought maybe number 2 was a little high for a DB, but then I remembered that it was Jermod McCoy. This guy is probably the best cover corner in the country. when you play Tennessee, you almost have to just you have to not look at that side of the field. He was a Thorpe semifinalist, started in all 12 games last year for the Vols. He had 13 pass breakups and 4 picks. I'm telling you, those numbers are good, but teams wouldn't throw at him because they knew what was going to happen if the ball goes up in the air on that side of the field. It's either going to get batted down or you're going to have to go back to the sideline and wait for your defense to get a stop. So McCoy is probably one of the most valuable defenders, not just in the conference, but in the country. And I think he's going to come back even better this fall. And then number 1, my most valuable non-quarterback this year is Anthony Hill Jr. at Texas playing linebacker. Last year he had 113 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, a pick, 2 pass breakups, 4 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. Already that's one of the best lines you'll see from a linebacker anywhere. And then you tally that together with Colin Simmons. This duo in the front 7 is an absolute nightmare for any offense. And I think they'll both come back this year, even better and hungrier than last, especially after how their season ended last year. So having both those guys either rushing the passer if you call it blitz or just having them both in run support, it's an incredible duo. And Anthony Hill Jr. is just an incredible athlete. I've said that 100 times today, but one of the best athletes at linebacker you'll find in the entire country. And I think he's going to have just as good of a year, if not better, this fall.